NIL has changed college sports forever, so let's talk about the old school NCAA versus the new school of name, image, and likeness with NIL content advisor Sam Green. Sam, you're the first of your kind. The go-to NIL content creator is your tagline on your Instagram. So how did you get involved with working with athletes, brands, and collectives?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. Second of all, I danced in college and I danced in the NBA, so I really saw a gap in the industry. When NIL was legalized, I wish I had that opportunity to really tap into the fan base that I had right in front of me when I had the chance. So I was a video editor at ESPN right out of college, learned how to do everything from my phone, started actually teaching professional athletes how to create content for brands and land brand deals and really build their platforms. And then when NIL was legalized, I was like, oh my God, even better. Switched straight over, and I felt like this industry was literally made for me. To be honest, I just started helping athletes, and then it picked up enough steam that universities and collectives really caught on and turned into my business today.
Well, let's pick your brain on this because there's so much about NIL that could be kind of overwhelming to people, but at the same time, as a former college athlete, I'm like, get paid, athletes get paid. So first and foremost, obviously, John Calipari has taken over and was introduced as the new head basketball coach at Arkansas, but he said at his introductory press conference that he had no one on the roster. He's going to have to build that team from scratch, but he does have access to a collective with the deep pockets. Does Arkansas now have to buy a roster through NIL, and what does that look like?
100%. I mean, I think that this is kind of where the controversy behind NIL comes in. Is it beneficial to the athletes? Do they deserve to get paid? I think the majority of people would say yes, but you know, what does the back end look like? It looks like these coaches constantly having to stock their roster. I mean, it's not even about like getting them to sign for the year. They have to now worry about even in the middle of the year maintaining a roster. So I honestly do feel really bad for the college coaches. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of them actually go into the professional sports because they don't want to deal with it. And it just is due to really a lack of regulation within the NIL, which I understand their frustration. I think that the athletes deserve to be paid, but it is definitely hard to keep a roster, and we are going to start seeing way more pay to play.
Yeah, Nick Saban pretty much said he doesn't recognize the game right now. My father, who's a head football coach at William & Mary, same thing with him. Like, he's wondering, like, is the game still the game, especially with the way the NIL and the collectives and all that's involved? It's like college football has its own free agency now. So what are some of these deals looking like for some of the top earning athletes in the country?
Man, I'm jealous. Let's just say that. I mean, we're looking at, you know, hundreds of thousands. I mean, even appearances. You know, I've heard some athletes won't even show up for less than 100K, and that's just one day, one event. So they're pretty nuts. And then the brand and the caliber of the brands that they're able to work with is also crazy. I mean, look at Livy Dunn, right? She's on national television commercials for Viore, and these brands are, what I like about it is these brands are actually investing into the athletes longer term and not just one and done deals as well. I mean, look at Flage. She was, you know, all over commercials for the NCAA tournament, even if when she was done playing and they weren't even in, you know, the Final Four or the championship round. She's still the face of basketball and still in all these national commercials. So dollar-wise, they're pretty steep, but also like the campaigns that they're doing are pretty impressive. And, you know, again, investing in the athletes is really cool.
And it's not even the big name athletes that are cashing in, the smaller school athletes as well. When I went to UMass, we were 1AA, and I guess everyone's calling it FCS now, but 1AA all the way. We didn't have a chance to kind of make money, but now because of NIL, athletes from smaller schools can now profit off their play. What are some of the deals for some of the smaller school athletes looking like?
So these athletes just have to put in more work, to be honest. I mean, they're not going to fall into their lap as easily. Doesn't mean that the dollar signs aren't still there. They are, but you're seeing way more back-end work. So with the bigger athletes and the bigger budgets, right, a big brand like a Viore will approach Livy Dunn and probably have a script for her, fly out a production company and kind of take care of it for her versus these smaller name athletes or smaller schools. typically have to pitch themselves to brands, and they also have to create content in advance for the brand. So they have to build their own brand for the brand to even say yes to working with them. They're often scripting their own content for these brands. So it's still possible. The money's still there. I just think it maybe takes a little bit more work.
I got to get your thoughts on Alabama offensive tackle Kadyn Proctor, who transferred to Iowa in January, collected $100K in NIL, and then he transferred back to Bama. Is this what folks fear most about NIL in the portal?
I think it is. I really do. I mean, and it's like, I look at it as, what does the work world look like, right? You want to go take a job, get one paycheck, leave, go get another paycheck, secure another job simultaneously, and then like go right back. So to me, like, there's a little bit of accountability that should be there, or a little bit maybe morale, but at the end of the day, that's kind of on the NCAA with the portal right now. Which
college sports would you say are most affected or even influenced by NIL?
Women's sports. I'd say every single one of them. Look at the viewership. I tweeted something the other day. I mean, you know, everyone keeps saying that women's college basketball was always this good. It was always this big. These athletes always had this big of a presence or personality or brand behind them. It's just now, to be honest with, I think it's the NIL that's bringing the viewership, because these athletes are actually out in the public representing brands, which is really drawing attention to their sport, to their crowd, and really allowing people to tune in. So I think every single women's sports is really being the most influenced. I mean, women's gymnastics and women's basketball.
You're the first of your kind. AthleteCon is the first of its kind as well. So what is AthleteCon exactly, and who's it for?
AthleteCon is for athletes that care to actually build their brand, take advantage of their name, image, and likeness, and build a platform that's going to outlive their playing career. So I saw a gap in the industry of events that are resourcing the athletes with tangible tasks or skills to be able to walk away and succeed in the NIL space. So I'm launching AthleteCon. It is June 1st in Charlotte. It is one full day jam-packed with hands-on content creation workshops from brands like Meta and Canva and LinkedIn. There's going to be a ton of brands there for actually an NIL content creation competition where these athletes are going to be competing for NIL deals. And we wrap this thing up with a really fun pink turf suits and sneakers awards night where the brands award their favorite athlete advertisements to NIL deals. And there's also educational resources there the entire time, like lawyers overlooking contracts, free headshot stations. So really just one full day of practical education for these athletes to be able to build their brand.
That sounds fun. Let me see if I still got some eligibility left. I'll be down in the Queen City chopping it up with y'all down there.
There's also universities can come, collectives can come, brands can come, and agents can come. So you're invited.
All right. Well, congratulations on that, and good luck with everything that you do. Much respect to you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.